I don't know if you had actually heard about this, but I was reading the other day, but did you know about the new metal eating bacteria?
No.
No?
But I'm pretty sure where they discovered it. I'm pretty sure it's found on Lars Ulrich's snare that they use in the Saint Anger. But
yes.
Fucking snare. And welcome to the Thunder Rooster podcast. My name is Ron.
And I am Paul.
And today we're going to start a little different. We're going to start off with a sponsor. It's a little bit of shameless promotion. You can snag my EP. It's under the name Mac the Knife, and my EP is called Blue. A little bit of that intro is actually from that EP. But you can check it out on Apple, Amazon Music, Deezer, as well as Google Play. So go check that out. We are talking about Metallica.
Yeah!
Paul and I are both really big fans of Metallica. May not know this, but me and Paul are pretty heavy into guitar playing. So we found a... very similar interest in that we cut our teeth a lot on Metallica songs.
We do.
Just gotta love that shit.
Oh, the best, baby. The best.
All right, before we even get into this, I want to know. I know you told me before,
Sure.
but I want you to let the listeners or viewers know.
Sure.
You know, what was the first Metallica song that really grabbed you by the nuts?
Oh, sure, absolutely, Ron. So as we've discussed, you know, we have a lot of common interests in music, guitar playing, yada yada. For me, I was a fan of this band growing up. I was also a fan of a lot of different music. Obviously, your taste changed, but I gotta say, when I went to college, it was like my sophomore year at school, and I came home from a party pretty drunk. And I literally went to like my roommate's room and sat down. I was like, wow, it was a long night. And he was listening to something I've never heard before. And I was like, what the hell is this? He goes, Metallica. I go, Enter Sandman Metallica? Wherever I May Roam Metallica? Black Album Metallica? And he looks at me stupid and he goes, no. This is Injustice for All. I was like, oh. I didn't know what that was. So he's playing through, and so I ended up hearing the song, and it's their first song off the Injustice for All album. It's called Blacken, and it totally, something hit me when I was listening to this. I know, even if I was inebriated, but all these years later, I'd never heard anything that just stuck to my head. The song is about the environment. I mean, all these classic things that are going on now today, but I had never heard anything just so energized, just so much involved. I mean, the song has all these different layers. It was the solo in this song that absolutely blew me away, and it was like, oh my god, if I could just learn how to play a note or two, I would have been happy.
Yeah. And
it's literally how it was. After that, I bought an acoustic guitar, started dabbling with the string here, string here.
Yeah.
I had kind of a thing with, like, I had an ear, and I still have this, and you've seen this in before. And then ever since then, 20 plus years later, I'm still playing.
Yeah.
And it goes right back to that moment.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to thank my roommate. I know he's probably not listening or watching, but if I connect with him, it's all because of him. So
yeah, I'm about to get a couple thumbs down on this one, but like, it's the first Metallica song I'd ever heard, but it caught me, like, I was hooked from hearing it the first time. It was Enter Sandman, you know. I was just some little kid watching, you know, flipping through the channels, saw MTV, it was on, playing video. Like, this is awesome.
I mean, that song is probably as universal as it gets,
right,
because probably anyone who's ever been to a sporting event in the last 25 years, you're hearing that song there.
Oh, definitely. That was their breakout song.
It was.
Honestly, I mean, that was their mainstream breakout because, as we'll learn pretty soon, Metallica was doing really, really well without radio play.
No. It was still to this day with streaming and different outlets to get your music out. No one had these options.
No.
You're going early 80s. 81 was basically the birth of Four Horsemen.
Yep. And that started out with Lars dropping an ad in a local newspaper. And you said it was the Examiner, right?
Yes.
Well, yeah, he dropped a little ad, had some of his favorite bands listed on there, looking for like-minded musicians. And
just to jam. He just wanted somebody to play with him. Lars had a lot of influence. Actually, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he was actually groomed to be a professional tennis player.
Yeah, his dad was a professional tennis player. And,
which is crazy how those things work out.
I thought it was really funny how Lars, was saying, back where he was from overseas, he was in the top 10 ranks.
I couldn't believe
for
that.
his age.
Yeah.
And then when he moved to America, he wasn't even the top 10 on his block.
I think he made the right choice.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at it this way.
It's very interesting, though, because, he used drumming as a hobby outside of tennis to give a little release and everything. He came to America, and honestly, when he dropped that ad looking for like-minded musicians, Hetfield responded, came out there. They had a bass player, I guess, that Lars known. Mm-hmm. His name was it
Ron McCovey?
Yeah, Ron McCovey.
Mm-hmm.
And, from the mouths themselves, Lars was not that great at the time.
No, it still isn't. I'm sorry. I can't
but, I think from what I remember, it's Lars lacked in talent, but he already had some connections within the metal community.
He knew a lot of different people, especially going to Europe. He was very fascinated with the sound that was coming out of Europe, and they called it the British heavy metal.
The new wave.
The new wave. Thank you. So, he would celebrate, and these are influences, Iron Maiden, Diamond Head. I mean, these were bands that he, that was his passion at that point, and he was just trying to connect with other people, and he just ended up finding the greatest frontman of all time.
Oh, yeah. Talk
about luck.
Sabbath, Motorhead, and, these kids at the time, they were late teens, but still, they were really into that kind of grimy heavy metal thing. And, at the time, what was really coming up around where they were at, glam.
Yeah.
Glam rock, glam metal, heavy metal,
It's like, where were they going to find their place?
Right.
Because at that point, it was just, we were just getting out of disco. We were just getting into, some stabs of pop. I mean, we're in the 80s, and it's like, the glam metal scene was just kind of coming into play. Some of the thrash was out there, but it wasn't known. No no radio play.
Here comes the spandex and Aquanet.
Oh, God, Highlander needs to go away. I never understood that. But hey, it got chicks, so I guess they did something right.
Right. Well, circling back to Lars's metal connections, something a pretty big name pops up. Brian Slagle.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little thing going, and he had a compilation disc coming out. It was just a compilation of local bands and stuff of that nature. And before Lars even had a band together, he was like, "Hey, man, if I get a band together,
what's up, dude?
Can I get a spot on the CD?"
Yeah, let's get on that CD there,
dude.
Yeah,
can I get a little? I'm not even gonna.
It was close.
Does Lars ever see this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's close.
A horrible impersonation.
No, it was good. Stick with it.
But so, yeah, I'm pretty sure Lars skated by on his connections until he started getting proficient on the drums.
Right.
But
so as far as where we have the first lineup,
real quick, I got to slide this in there.
Slide it in.
Brian Slagle went on to start and run Metal Blade Records.
That is actually something I did not know.
Yeah.
You stumped me.
A little funny, interesting story of I've actually submitted my album to Metal Blade back in 2012, 12.
Okay.
And I got declined.
But you got a response, or was it just
they sent me back and was like, this is some real promising material, but unfortunately this is not the direction we're going for at the time, which for all I know, that's a cut and paste denial thing for
I mean,
I'd take it with a grain of salt that wasn't at the time, but yeah, let's take it back to 81.
Let's go back. Let's go way back.
They get Hetfield, and they already had a bassist. And the first guy that they tried out on guitar was a Mr. Dave Mustaine. He did not even have to compete with anybody.
No, because no one can compete with him.
I mean, aside from that...
For those you don't know, Dave Mustaine is the lead singer and rhythm guitarist of a very successful band called Megadeth.
Yes.
A lot of origin behind that.
But, oh, yeah.
So your first four that come out is McCovey, Hetfield, Ulrich, and
Mustaine.
Jeez, I just bit my tongue. So at that point, that was the first four.
Right.
And like you had said, they were getting noticed underground. Mm-hmm. They had no radio play. They started putting some tracks together. They still didn't have a compilation until they got in touch with John Suzuvas at Megaforce Records. And that was when they actually started to lay down the first demo album was No Life to Leather.
Right, but that was actually after the fact. Wasn't he the guy that got him Kill 'Em All?
That's actually true. Well, he was for both.
Wait, no, Johnny Z was the management guy that
right.
got him out there.
Right.
We're skipping ahead. I'm sorry about that. No,
it's okay.
But yeah, No Life to Leather. It was like a 7-track tape.
It was the most amazing thing at that point.
And they were just circling that around. Everybody
they just brought it everywhere they could. They're from the Bay Area. All of them basically.
Not true.
Not all of them.
They are actually. They started out in L.A. They were not getting any love in L.A. And they said, "Fuck L.A." They went up to the Bay Area to play a benefit concert for a metal magazine.
Yes, that's right.
And that's really where, like, the thrash metal sound.
That was the scene.
That was where it was starting to blossom and stuff. So they felt more at home with that. So they really ran with that whole, middle finger to L.A. at the time. Thank God they did, because I think Metallica may not have ever been discovered if they hadn't got out of L.A.
No. You're probably right.
And everybody wants to go to LA to play. That's
they all want to go by Skid Row, don't they?
Oh my God. I've been there.
Yeah,
let's say I've been by there. Car doors.
He drove
locked,
by.
Just
he
driving by.
And drove away.
You're like, ugh, it's grody. But yeah, like you said, they had the 7-track demo. They got that around. And eventually
83 comes out and we got Kill 'Em All.
Right. Which, they got in contact with a guy named Johnny Z, who's from the East Coast. I believe he lived in New Jersey. But he had already heard some buzz about the band. And they decided to offer to manage the band. And they gave him $75 to drive all the way out to New York and record Kill 'Em All. And we're talking like as dirty and grimy as being in a band is when you first start out. You literally have no money whatsoever, because any bit of money you get, obviously you got to feed yourself. You got to take care of your point A to point B, travel, and
take care of that van.
Yeah, the van, very important.
No van, no show, right?
Getting a flat tire when you're on the road.
Life is over.
Shot through the heart, man.
Right?
It's like, we can't play the show tonight. That means we don't get our little $50 to $75 guarantee that we were trying to get to last us to the next place.
And you're at Fade to Black.
We all understand how alcohol can other things get involved.
For sure.
You got to have money for those too.
Right. So as long as they're going through the ranks, we have Kill 'Em All at that point. They've already got the underground success. Then there was an issue at hand between the band, between Dave Mustaine and James Hetfield.
Yeah. Here's what happened with that. See, out of the 4 members, 3 of them were happy-go-lucky drunks. One of them was a mean drunk.
And mean drunks are not fun to play with.
Nope. And so, actually, whenever they got to New York, they pulled up in their little U-Haul box van, which they slept in while they were there. And they went up to Johnny Z and was like, hey, the Mustaine guy, stop cutting it. We're going to cut him. First of all, why would you bring him?
Right.
There had to be some thought where you're like, this is bad. We need to,
Well, he was
they knew his drinking.
He was self-destructive.
Right. But man, like hearing Lars's verbatim stuff, and he might have been exaggerating from the story because, right. It's a past thing and they're all good now, I think.
Of course.
But
yeah.
He was like, yeah. He woke him up. Hey, buddy, you're getting cut. We got you. And Dave Mustaine didn't blink an eye or anything. Nope. He's like, when's my plane leave? He's like, you're going to spend the next 14 hours on a Greyhound and your bus leaves in 45 minutes. So let's get going.
I mean, that's literally how it went down. I was like, hey, bro, you're out of the band. Yeah.
So luckily, an ex-guitar, well, I don't know if he was actually in Exodus or was he'd already left the band at that point. Mm-hmm. But Kurt Hammond actually saw them play at that festival when they came up to the Bay Area.
Yes.
And so he was interested, and they actually had him fly out and audition. And
that's his history.
Yeah, I think he only they played the first song with him, I think, and he nailed the solo to "Seek and Destroy."
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of my all-time favorites.
And it was all over from then. They were like, "Yep, we got a guy. Everything's fine." So record that. Go ahead.
And then the current bassist ended up leaving, and then everything changed.
Oh yeah. Then after that, the band had actually went to a show and saw another band called Trauma, where Mr. Cliff Burton was playing for at the time, and so they actually had to do quite the courting, from what they were saying, to get him to come along,
because this man was ahead of his time.
Yeah,
completely. I mean, what he was able to do, I mean, I still scratch my head to this day, and I don't even play bass.
The guy had the tone of God in his fingers.
Amazing. God, he's amazing.
But yeah, they got him to come out. Actually, that was before Kill 'Em All.
They got him right, I want to say leading up to Ride the Lightning.
Oh, was that right?
I don't believe he had. I mean, I'll have to double check. I don't think he has credit, because I know that Dave Mustaine had a lot of credit as far as the writing process in Kill 'Em All. But I think it was just, once Ride the Lightning came, I mean, that's where I think his work is established.
Right.
You know what I mean? You had session recorders for Kill 'Em All and whatnot, but I think once it came to that point, but in my opinion, it's like once he entered the band, this was the turning point for this band.
Right.
He added so many different elements, because like we were saying, the other guys were just they were in a Diamond Head, they were into Aerosmith, they were into Iron Maiden, Motorhead and such. But Cliff
had a little bit of psychedelic rock background.
Cliff had a big niche for classical music.
Yeah.
And at first they were like, "What? We're in heavy metal. What the fuck are we doing with classical music? I don't know nothing about Beethoven. Screw this."
Oh man.
But then he sat there. And applied, because he was involved in some music theory, and he applied these ideals, because these guys had no idea. They were just used to recording what they needed to and their true sound, and this guy definitely just came in and put them on the map, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to take a quick break real quick, and we'll show you a nice little clip. All right, we are back. We're picking it back up with Metallica releasing their album Kill 'Em All. The sales soared to over 300,000 within a few weeks of them putting it out because they had a pretty good big following through the international underground scene.
That's just unheard of.
It's hard to wrap your mind around, especially nowadays. I mean, you have to think, nowadays, it's hard to get that.
Right, because is it a
And
million?
it's
Is a
easier-
million records gold?
No, 100,000
100,000
is gold.
And then a million's platinum.
Right.
Okay.
Which I think, no, I might be wrong on that. I think it's 500,000 is gold.
Is gold.
Because Metallica didn't get their first gold record until the next record.
Yes.
So, yeah, I believe it's 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
But,
that's incredible.
so, I mean, like nowadays, it's easier to connect and spread your word.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, people were hungry for it. They had to be hungry for it to find certain things. Where now, I think the market's oversaturated with music to the point where people are like, if it's good, I'll hear it from somebody else. You don't have people really lining up for stuff anymore. I mean, you don't have to go to a record store anymore to get the new thing. You just, even before the album comes out, you can just be like, okay, pre-save that album, when it comes out. Like, I have Apple Music, so all I have to do is say add when it drops, and it will pop up on my thing when day it comes out.
So much easier today, but man, it was not back then.
No, not at all. And just it is really lightning striking two times in the same place, really.
Right.
It's like kind of odds on that one. But yeah, they had a great deal of some small success with Kill 'Em All. And in 84, they signed with Elektra Records and released Ride the Lightning. And that one quickly went gold.
Yes.
What are some of your fun songs from Ride the Lightning?
Oh, I mean, we can go on all day. I mean, obviously the ones that had stuck out to people, and we just even went back as far as trying to get on the road and your bus breaks down or something doesn't go right. I mean, probably the most notable song of that album is Faded Black.
Yeah.
And the song itself, as much as it is, the lyrics are depressing.
Yeah.
If people are not aware of that, but it's an incredible song, but it's actually about their stuff getting stolen.
Yep.
I could pretty much be in that same boat. I mean, you're lifeless at that point.
Everybody.
If that's what they're trying to do to get there and
Yeah.
to get successful and have your equipment stolen, I mean,
Yeah.
just to turn that into an epic anthem, mind-blowing.
Yeah, I have to say the same thing with that. But between this time, they garnered their nickname Alcoholica for the overly indulged drinking they would do on the road.
No, not at all.
Picking this up a little bit, in the spring of 86, they released Master of Puppets, my bad. That sold 1 million copies without radio play. And the band did their last supporting act tour with none other than Ozzy Osbourne, Man of Darkness himself.
He is the Godfather, if you want to call it.
Right. So they were touring with Ozzy Osbourne, and they came up in a break time, and Metallica did some little headlining shows here and there, I think around in Texas or something like that. But the reason why they did that was because Ozzy, I think, had tour dates or something in Japan, and they did that, and they were going to meet back together in the fall to tour Europe together. So the band goes over there, and they played maybe 10 or 11 shows, and then a very tragic accident happened. On September 27th of 1986, their bus driver hit a patch of black ice and flipped the bus over, and tragically killing Cliff Burton. It was a real draw of the cards on Cliff. Actually won a little game of cards between Kurt Hammock to see who gets gets a certain bunk. Cliff won. He chose that bunk. And the rest is history. Everybody got out of the bus. Everybody's screaming. Nobody heard Cliff screaming. So, freaked out. Kurt Hammett was the one who discovered his legs out from under the bus. And, you know, he went into shock pretty much because he doesn't remember pretty much 48 hours after that.
How could you?
You know,
put yourself in that spot.
Oh.
Put yourself in that spot with one of your former bandmates, right?
I've literally thought about that when going down the road, like if something like that were to happen, because obviously this is one of those stories that, you know, you hear about and you always wonder. I've seen several bands, you know, touring around the same time I was that did the exact same thing. You know, there's this band called Ghost Inside. Similar thing happened, but they were in a van and trailer, and, you know, their drummer lost the limb, you know. And they came back. They did. And it's really, really awesome. But
I just don't know, like, you know. I mean, obviously coping with that. I mean, it was a draw on cards. I mean, literally, fate goes either way. I mean, what would have happened if it was Kurt and not Cliff?
Mm-hmm.
What would they have been? I mean, these are just unanswered, you know, situations.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's kind of a wasted thought thinking of that way because both men are,
of course,
incredibly talented.
Of course.
But yeah, that was a very tragic time, and you know, a lot of the guys, you know,
how were they going to go on at that point?
Right.
I mean, this guy was. I mean, he brought more to that band, and they would even admit that. Right. They would definitely admit it, that he was their MVP. He was the one that showed them different options, different ways of playing music, instead of just going, well, you know, maybe we'll just do some covers of these things and maybe just kind of adapt that into our game plan. But he was like, no. There's other ways you can make music meaningful.
Right.
And he brought that element. I mean, you know, obviously the Kill 'Em All album, all the songs are short, 3-4 minutes tops.
Mm-hmm. We
start moving on to Ride the Lightning and then Master Puppets, which we're going to get to that in a second. But these songs started to get longer. They were more anthem-esque, that had a real true meaning. And he is the sole purpose behind that, because he brought his intellect, and it was a different side. And that's what makes music so great, because he brought that to the table, and everyone else brought something, and it worked.
Right.
And
it really highlighted,
yes,
like, basically what you could pin down what Metallica is, really shined on what Cliff had helped with.
That was like a fine-tuned machine.
Right.
Is the best way you could describe it. So, yeah, the heartbreak on that, they didn't know if they were going to continue on, rightfully so.
Right.
But they bounced back.
They did. Thank God
with
for
Lars
Ulrich. He, the band basically came together and, you know, understood that Cliff would want them to continue on. So, within 6 weeks, they were looking for another bassist. And they had a pretty long, drawn-out tryout process. And some of it's pretty funny. A lot of people showing up with the wrong look, and they'd be like, nope, next. So it got pretty cold. But they got their new bassist, Jason Newsted, who was in Flotsam and Jetsam at the time. And there's only one notable bassist that I can think of that tried out and just didn't fit well. But Les Claypool,
I know, and that's
tried.
just so crazy because he's an incredible musician.
Right.
Not everyone's cup of tea, but
I think that's what came down with him. They were like, no,
technical.
You've already got your own thing going.
You were like, you're not in our league, buddy. Like, you're great where you're at. Just, I don't think it's going to work.
Right. Everybody has their respective lane there, and I think they chose wisely on that.
Absolutely.
They got Jason Newsted in the band. He was a great fit. And, of course,
he was a big fan of them.
Oh, yeah.
Before he even got in, he's like, look, I'm playing with my idols.
Right.
It was like the whole rock star mentality. He's like, I hit the fucking lottery.
Right. But, yeah, they hazed the shit out of him for
this poor man,
a long time.
I mean, he's a very ambitious, very intelligent man, and just the shit that he'd have been put through. I mean, I don't know how he did it.
Right.
hazing's one thing, but everyone hits their boiling point, and I don't know how he did it for all those years.
I tell you how he did it. He got in the band that he idolized.
Got paid.
Probably that too.
Got paid.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
But yeah, once Jason got in the band and started writing, and around '88, and Justice for All comes into play and brings some great sounding tracks of the likes of One, Blackened, and Harvester of Sorrows, among many others. And
just the
remember
sound.
You sending me the link for the, what was it, Binge and Purge Seattle show. And that was right in the heat of that album period.
Just raw.
So good. It gave me goosebumps watching it.
It's every time I go back to it, I feel the same way. I'm like,
just pop that shit on the
I've
big screen.
I've seen them 4 times, and that show still is like, to me, it's like it's the masterpiece icon show that if you're a fan of this band and you haven't seen it, highly suggest you check it out and commit the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You will not be let down.
Yeah, right. Moving along. Trying not to too deep on this, but we're going to move to August of 1990. The band hooked up with Bob Rock to get a more polished sound.
Now, for people that don't know Bob Rock, we do. Bob Rock is a famous music producer, has worked with AC/DC and countless other top-notch acts. So for him to come in to work with these guys, obviously this was going to be hopefully the next step to catapult their careers. I mean, it's like, look.
He had to me, it sounded like a pretty pretentious story about how he ended up working with Metallica. He was unsure if he wanted to do it. And he was driving in the middle of the desert somewhere and pulled over to a gas station and heard Metallica playing on the radio. And he's like, well, that's a sign. Like a real Doors-esque type moment.
That's exactly how it went.
That's what got it done. That's what got it done. And with the help of Bob Rock, they made a really great fucking album. I mean, Black Album.
It's the one that put them into everyone's household names.
Oh yeah, man.
You go to a sports game, you hear this.
Right.
You hear almost all these songs.
They just cut all the crap out, and I mean, took a little page out of Spinal Tap for the Black Album, but
and they fine-tuned these songs, like as I was saying earlier. It's like, they went from this kill them all fast, everything ready to go, 3-4 minutes tops. Then we start to get to these long epic masterpiece songs. Then we go to the Black Album, where Bob Rock has been known to really bring out the best musicians as far as their creativity, the way they mix, and he can get the best out of them.
Right, and we saw the making of the Black Album, and they bumped heads quite a bit. I mean, they put each other through the ringer, and surprisingly enough, to my knowledge, I found out it cost $1 million to record that album. Jesus. Worth every penny, of course, but wow, just in the 90s, $1 million to record an album.
But then you go back and you listen to it and you go, okay, I don't think I can hear something that's as polished as this.
No.
Through and through.
I think he really brought the best out of the guys then.
I agree.
So good.
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
But yeah,
so that catapults them here.
That rocket launches them up there.
It's Stratosphere stuff. It's Rolling Stone. It's MTV, Video Music Awards. It's like overnight sensation. You saw the videos when they showed the record stores.
Oh, yeah. This thing debuted #1 on the charts, and within 2 weeks had gone double platinum.
And nobody was listening to this music. It rocked the world. 91, 92 was their year.
Right.
Literally. It was like overnight. People were like, who the hell is this band?
Right.
Metallica. Oh, my God.
Oh, we completely skipped over the fact of the last album cycle where they got nominated for a Grammy, and it was just threw in the trash to, I don't even know his name right now. Jethro Tull, yeah.
They're a great band.
I knew that.
I mean, when you're shredding on the flute, I mean, I get it.
Oh, man, when I first learned of that, I was a child, basically, but Oh,
The whole
man.
world was like, what the hell just happened?
Even me, not having a very limited amount of music knowledge, was like, what?
And the fact,
Metal album?
right? And the fact that, most of the people that go and perform on award shows, they're getting the fucking award after they perform.
Right.
No, not them.
Yeah.
Nope. They perform, they lay it out there, everyone's like, wow, this is something we've never experienced, and they lose.
Well, I think a big part of it is how the Grammys work. The people who vote on the Grammys are the people who've won Grammys.
Exactly.
So
that's a whole nother topic.
It might be one of those things where they're, somebody got getting cut into their pocket change, and be like, yeah, fuck these guys. But moving along.
So as far as we, mainstream success, everyone's knows us, making money, everything is good. We had downfall potentially number 1. Now we have number 2.
Number 2 coming up in Montreal show that happened. It was in '92, and Guns N' Roses and Metallica were putting on a big, massive tour together.
Like they were coining that was going to be the biggest rock tour of the decade.
That's what they were going
hands
for.
down.
It sure
was the
got
show
some
of
attention.
It was the show of the decade. Let's say that.
So Guns N' Roses, their lead singer Axl Rose, being quite a prima donna through this tour. And I think that was really the downfall of him. But, he would miss out saying he's got some voice problems, smoking a cigarette and drinking, But actually that happened when this accident happened. But through playing a show in Montreal, they had some pyrotechnics going. And James got disoriented. He was in the wrong spot. Power guy didn't see him. Power ran off. Stopped the show.
12-foot high flames.
Yep.
3,200 degrees.
Yep.
Left arm all the way up his shoulder. Parts of his face.
Parts of his leg. Dude was messed up.
And that's when it was literally like, okay. They make the announcement. They stop the show because literally everyone saw this fire going. They stopped the show. Now, in a situation like this, you put yourself in that position. You don't know what the hell to do at this point. He literally goes out there. He makes an apology as a result of the band. Their singer's hurt. We can't continue.
Right.
At that point, you hope that because this was going to be the biggest show of the decade, that maybe Guns N' Roses would help out in the situation.
Step up, be the hero of the day.
And what do?
Yeah, I can't. My voice is going out.
They leave.
Yep.
And then what happens next?
Full-on riot. They trashed the place.
Montreal was destroyed.
I can only imagine. This is a future topic, but I remember Slipknot, they used to start off a show by their intro basically being somebody getting on and be like, "We are sorry to inform you, Slipknot will not be performing this evening." And then, of course, the curtain drops. They just piss everybody off, get them in the mood.
It's just not right, Corey. Not right.
But yeah, and this time they called upon their roadie, one of their guitar techs, actually. Kind of pays to know the songs of the band you're helping out because
learn them. You never know. You could get your next shot.
So they had him come up, play guitar, and James just went on chugging along, just singing, and that's what got him through that. Through the success of the Black Album, that had them touring for over 2.5 years straight. I mean, once you think the album's cycle's getting done, it's getting discovered over in Japan and blah blah blah, and at this point the money's coming in for those guys. Management calls, just like to let you guys know when you guys get back, all of you will have enough money to buy a house.
Oh, for sure. That was already purchase number 1, I bet.
Yeah.
All
right, they end up taking a break.
There was an incident with the pyrotechnics. Unfortunately, James is on his way to the hospital right now, and we're very sorry, but we can't continue the concert for you guys tonight. But we promise you one thing from Metallica, and you know that we always good by our words. We will come back and finish our concert and play again for you as soon as we can within the next couple of months. Thank you, Montreal. We're sorry, okay?
Thanks for being so patient. Thanks a lot.
All right, and welcome back. So in our discussion, we're continuing on with the roadie, the lucky roadie. I guess you could say in the history of Metallica, kind of just going back to where we kind of left off with the situation where there was a little pyro incident with James. But as we were discussing, it pays to know the music. It pays to be a part of the band because something like this could happen. So.
Right.
So at least for the short period of time, the roadie helped out. I actually don't know his name at this point, but
I don't remember it either.
but in the process, as you had that person helping out the band, James could heal. You could see on some of his shows that were coming up, he was wearing like a protective brace on his hand.
Yeah,
and most people would think, to have second-degree burns, I mean, that'd be enough to just maybe not want you to continue.
Right.
I mean, that's strong dedication and will. It's doing what you love, and that just shows on out from everything that he's done.
Have you ever had a burn like that before?
I've never had a burn. I've had a couple stitches, but nothing to that kind of extent.
Dude, I had a massive burn on my leg one time. It was after playing a show with one of my little cover bands that I had right out of high school, and we were drinking at the guitarist's house, and his brother decided he wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix and put some lighter fluid on his acoustic. We were having fun with it. He would put a little on, light it, and then, you'd wave it and he'd go out. So I'm minding my own business, just
sure you are.
A little drink.
Yeah, of course you are.
One of them shoots lighter fluid at my shoe.
Oh, boy.
And throws a cigarette at it. And it lights up, and I kicked the tire of a truck, and it put it out. But I guess they tried it again a little later, and it didn't go out so easy. So I did the whole stop, drop, and roll. Got it out, and I was afraid to look at my leg because I felt it. It was bad, but it was.
And now that was your leg. Imagine that being your guitar hand.
Could not do it.
How could you do it?
I could not do
nope.
that.
But
the closest thing to a guitar hand injury I had was I was working with a grinder one time, and it bounced off of a steel beam I was grinding, and for some reason or another I wasn't wearing my gloves, and it bounced right off the thing and smacked me right on the tip of the finger of my fret hand.
You idiot.
I know. Being young and dumb.
Young and dumb, but at least, hey, you're fine and you're with us. So,
right.
But again, pays to be the roadie, pays to be the guy kind of being, within the band. So,
yeah.
So again, yeah, these are just examples of, trials and tribulations of the band.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, on a 2+ year hiatus or, touring and whatnot, I mean, you're going to be tired. You're going to need a break.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. I mean, you can understand how that is just being out on the road for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But go a couple years. I mean,
I think the longest I was out at one time was like a month.
And even that I could see. It
was like, I need to get home.
Right.
And I need to know that I'm going to be able to eat 3 meals in one day.
Right. Maybe have a nice warm shower.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Nice warm bed instead of just sleeping at the same rundown hotels.
The
same garbage food. The smells. Your tour days will just kind of bring you down to the smells, right?
Yeah, three or more dudes in a vehicle at a time for long periods of time at that. The smells are going to get interesting. That's for sure. Anyhow.
Anyway, so again, that was a major turning point for the band.
Yeah.
Again, nobody knew what was going to happen, but luckily everything kind of worked itself out at that point.
Right.
So we're kind of looking at this point. We have all the success. This band is on top of the charts everywhere. Their name is household name at this point.
Right.
So with success comes other stigmas, comes other things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a period where all the success kind of puts you at, a couple other albums that they started to do after that. Like, here's the success. Where can we go next?
Right.
They're here. And then what ended up happening was things changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to top something like that. As an artist, just in general, they're just going the next thing, like even with my music, I don't know. I'm not trying to top what I did last. It's just the evolution of my writing kind of thing. So I guess I can kind of see that. I mean, anything they do from that point on is going to get compared to the success of the Black Album.
And to this day, they still go back to that.
Oh yeah,
and this is over, a couple decades old. I mean, at this point, but
I mean, can you?
I don't blame
I
them.
don't see like a rock or metal band having that kind of a success anytime. Like
No,
the Black Album could very well
there's
be
still
the last.
there's still the
big
records that they have. There's still what is sold in volume every year.
Right.
It's still mind blowing on Nielsen. But so with that, obviously, you have the success. Change can be inevitable. Change happened. A lot of people didn't like the change, and it first leads off with cutting the locks.
I could not believe how people reacted to just them cutting their hair.
I mean, they turned on them.
Right.
Turned on them overnight.
Well, I mean, metal life is a lifestyle, then and now a little bit, I guess, but I don't see it much now. But yeah, long hair was everything back in the day, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. Like I was telling you before, like my favorite DVD of them to watch was their Cunning Stunts, and this is right after they did all that.
Right. This is right around 97,
Yeah.
97, 96, 97, yeah.
I just felt it was a growth in the band, and it was an attitude adjustment, which has to happen.
And I can say, looking back now, I understand it. When I was younger, I was right in the same crowd. I was like, what is going on? Why are you guys doing this? Sellouts.
Yeah.
Well, selling out is a good thing. Pays the bills, supports your family. So if there's a couple kids in the basement, mom's basement crying about it, fine. Yeah. I'm not going to take any heart to that,
So when they put out Load, they the album for Load and Reload, I just found out. What was it again?
Ron, maybe you want to. Would you like to bring this up, Ron?
I would.
Is it still PG or nah?
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, the unfortunate thing was, and I don't know where that influence or inspiration came about, but the covers of the album is actually Dear. How do we want to say that, Ron?
Seaman.
You're Seaman, right?
It's Dear Come.
Dear Come, yeah. So, don't know what they were thinking, but maybe that led to other things down the road.
Yeah, well, you can just see like with Road and Reload, obviously Reload kind of being a callback to Load, but that was actually supposed to be a double album, and the label wouldn't let them release it that way. Which, whatever.
And as far as the sound, it was more of like a rock album. It didn't really sound like a heavy metal album.
No,
and people can attest to this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like you and I both talk, we like the album.
Yeah.
There's a handful of people that do, and there's still a handful of people that will not accept it.
Right.
But that is just something that they did for themselves to make a change instead of just doing the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
And you have to have respect at the end of the day for it.
Yeah, they're just casting a bigger net. They're trying to do something different.
Right.
They, got into a lot of stuff that influenced them when they were starting out.
Absolutely.
So even though it wasn't another breakout thrash album like they were, their, beginning fans are expecting,
Right.
I mean, Ain't My Bitch, that's one of my favorite Metallica songs. And it's
fun song.
Completely different from what they
Ain't My
usually
Bitch.
do,
and those albums won Grammys. They were certified, but still people, again, weren't thrilled with it. Again, that's what they wanted to do. And then it even showed afterwards. Like, so you had that period of these couple albums, and then, like you said, paying homage to their influences, you get a double album, which was all cover songs. And it was incredible. As far as what you have, I mean, you got covers for Thin Lizzy, Queen, Motorhead, Diamond Head.
Oh, you're talking about Garage Inc.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So right when we go from the Load era, which was impactful, it sold, it was successful. Only thing at this point, they're like, we're just going to do a cover album. We want to put some songs out of like what influenced us to start playing these instruments.
Right, because that's how a lot of Metallica's earlier shows got them.
Yeah.
A lot of recognition because they were putting their own spin on cover songs. They were just odd, obscure bands that nobody's even heard of. So when the higher ups were asking them about signing and stuff, like, where's all these awesome songs we heard?
And to hear them and go, wow, I thought these were the originals.
Right.
I mean, they turn a cover in a badass song.
They threw them
Hands
through.
down. You know, so they know what they're doing.
They did a little opie dope.
Exactly. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take one quick break and we'll be back with our top 5 Metallica
Top
songs.
5.
And also, I just want to squeeze this in because I can notice a pretty long, drawn out podcast here because Metallica is a huge band. They've been around for almost 40 years, so I think we're going to cut it off.
We can't do one show.
19 to 20 year mark.
Yeah, we can't wrap it all up on one show. We got to give them more.
So yeah, we will be back with another Metallica
Part
episode.
2.
We will have to circle back around and do that again.
Does.
But all right, we'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah!
All right, the last segment of the podcast. Go! All right, we're back, and we are in our pecking order, and we are going to give our top 5 tracks of Metallica. Paul, would you like to go first?
God, there's so many, Ron. I don't know. We might be here all day.
Maybe.
No one would want to be here that long. What do you think? Moving along. Okay, so our top 5. We obviously went back and forth over this. We went back and forth. Back and forth. Back and forth. Did you fucking break it?
No, it just wasn't recording. I was like, why did it go black? No, I'll leave it in. It got you on this one, so. People, this is our second podcast ever, so.
Just edit that out.
Making lemons out of
Just
lemonade.
edit all that out. Okay, so top 5.
Yep. Let's get into this.
You want to get into
pecking
this? Okay. We've had a lot of conversation back and forth. So, all right. Starting at 5 for me. This is off the Black Album. This is My Friend Misery. The reason I chose this is that the bass line is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The song is incredible. I've learned how to play this song. And truthfully, this song for me hits home because there's been countless times over the years where this song hits me because there's times where in my day-to-day life or whatever, I truly feel like the world's on my shoulder and I have to carry the load.
Yeah.
And when I get moments like that, I put that on, and that kind of brings me back down. I know it's kind of weird to say that, but that's just, for me, that's one I always go back to.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play it, so it's kind of cool too. So
Gives you a little tether to the ground.
What you got at 5?
I got Battery at 5.
Bass.
All right, let's
Slap
go
the bass.
into number 4. What do you got?
All right, number 4 for me, off of Master Puppets, it's Welcome Home Sanitarium. Another song that goes through stages.
Mhm.
It's slow melodic, it builds, it grabs you, it lets you go, it grabs you again,
Yeah.
and lets you go. It is like, it's an epic song. And also another thing, the description on there is like, if you feel trapped, or sometimes I feel like I'm trapped in a prison, sometimes I don't, but I think in some point people can relate to that. But that's another one that just hits home, and it's just like, if I hear that, I'm gonna listen to it, I'm not changing.
Right.
It's one of those songs.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but when they did their Icon thing and Limp Bizkit covered that song, I really liked it.
I will say it too, I did too at the time.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I did like it too.
But,
Don't want to be a hater all across the board, but
Right, yeah.
We can go on that, but yeah,
I
very
think it'd
good,
be good.
very good cover.
Yeah. Number 4 for me is "Ain't My Bitch." I already said.
And I ain't your bitch.
Yeah.
And I never will be.
I've already said I really love that song, but I don't know exactly why I love that song, other than the fact that it was just a different side of the band.
Catchy.
Yeah. Kind of
very rock and roll groovy riff. You know what I mean?
It's a really it's just a real like rock driven song with hints of metal in it, and I really dig that vibe. So that was my number 4.
Good choice. Good choice. Went right off the load reload. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. This is coming off Injustice for All. This is it's actually a whole instrumental. It's called "To Live Is to Die," and this was actually written in response to their bassist who died.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what this song means to me. I don't know what it is. The melodies, the song itself, it just hits me. I've told my wife this. I've told people that at my funeral I want this playing.
Yeah.
It's just there's something about this song because it shows everything. It shows it shows hope. It shows pain. It shows sorrow, but in like the most beautiful way you can actually describe it.
Right.
Without even having words. There's a spoken section, but without having actually words, there's that. So that was almost a tough thing because I could put this in number 1 for myself.
Yeah.
But I had to put it 3 just
I got you.
because. Yeah.
There's so many sounds.
I know. We have tons. What you at 3? What do you got?
I have "Wherever I May Roam" at number 3.
And that was actually going to be maybe on there, and you can attest to this one.
Yeah, I love that song. I can't even tell you like when I first heard it, but I knew I was locked into it as soon as I heard that song. As soon as it comes in, it's got that little sitar playing.
Oh my gosh,
dude! I learned how to play that song on guitar, and I ran my fingers raw on that.
To that song?
Oh yeah,
I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay.
It's actually one of the few songs I actually were like trying to sing and play guitar at the same time. To
Because
this
it's
day,
so
I
easy,
still
right?
can't do.
Because it's so easy.
I can play drums doing like 8 different things at once and sing along to something, but put a guitar in my hands and I'm
That's
like,
a problem. Yeah. No. And what about on the road? Did that hit with you a lot of the time when you were touring, traveling?
No, I mean, to me,
that never really filled in for you.
I didn't tour that much.
Right.
I didn't get as far as I wanted to with that. But
I felt like times when I either had to travel from work or I was living so far away from home. I mean, that was like the constant reminder song on the playlist.
That was
because it's like anywhere I'm going. I mean, it's like I'm never where I need to be. I am just at your disposal. You know.
I think my cross country trips outside of touring, I think that applies more to that because in my 20s I was kind of wherever you roamed. Wherever I may roam.
Whatever you had to do. Sure.
I went to DC and joined a band and then moved to Vegas after that, and it was definitely a fun little it wasn't too fun. I love traveling.
I can tell.
All right, what do you got at number 2?
Number 2, Injustice for All, and this is Blackened. My story for that is this is to me their heaviest song because it's just straight energy. It's for musicians out there. Most people, if they listen to basic pop songs or regular songs, it's 4/4 time. This has all sorts of different time signature. It's slow, it's fast, it's really heavy, it's really melodic. It goes all over the place.
Right.
To me, that one was just like, that's what got me into guitar. I heard this song. I listened to the band before we had this conversation. I came home from a party, pretty drunk out of my skull, to find my roommate blaring the song. I had no idea who it was. I was like, this shit is just amazing. What is this? And he told me, and I was like, after that, I was like, I'm picking up a guitar. This is 20 years later. So
you told that exact story at the beginning of the podcast.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, you gathered that out.
We'll insert it here.
Insert idiot.
We're making up time, folks.
Whatever. What's number 2, Ron? What you got?
Number 2. Creeping Death.
I was wondering when you were going to put that on your list.
That chant, die, 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 and that whole thing. I don't know. That song really I can't say it's a song that embodies Metallica for me because, my number one probably has that more than anything, but, there's so much in that song that just, I think it's one of their masterpieces. I know
agree.
It's subjective. People have their thing,
Of course, I agree.
I mean, I have songs from Load on here, so.
I mean, could you imagine going to 4 different shows at 20,000 or so people at each show? Hearing that?
No.
I'm sorry.
I hate you, Cole.
4 times.
Fucking
4 times. 4 Horsemen times.
I just want one. I hope when all this is done, I get to at least see them one time.
Yes, let's get them one more time. I'll be all right with that.
Just one more time.
All right. To numero uno, for all it's worth.
I almost want to say we probably have the same number
We
one.
may, I don't know. I'm going to kind of think we might.
I kind of figured I probably would have heard it by now.
So it's Master of Puppets' album, Master of Puppets.
Yes, sir.
Hands down, to me, it's the greatest song I've heard in my life. This is Stairway to Heaven, but a harder rock version of it.
It's the metal up your ass
It
version
is.
of it.
And can we say it's in the National Archives?
Yes.
So for all you people that are like heavy metals, satanic, and this and that, yeah, there's some of it. There's some other things that are not, but you can go to go to the halls of Congress and you can go ahead and listen to that album.
Oh,
It'll be there forever.
Love.
Everything about that song. I've never heard anything. To me, it still holds up. It's it's fast. It's powerful. It's beautiful. I mean, and the worst part about it, it's about drugs.
Yeah.
Cocaine, of all things. I don't do that.
No.
No one wants to do that. But just to turn something like that,
There's quite a few.
I'm
people
sure there
out
are. I'm sure there are. Let's not narrowcast too much. But you know what I mean. It's like it's just that's what the song is about, and it obviously hits a lot of people in different ways. But that is that band.
Right.
That is them in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, it's top 5 movies, definitely Old School. And I just lit up like a kid on Christmas when they started playing that. And they were going,
Well, they'll bring him back by dinner time.
Yeah. We'll bring him back.
If you're stealing an old man,
tell anybody about this, I'll kill you.
Right in the van. Well, they brought him back for dinner.
I'll bring that clip up right here just for the people who don't know.
It's so funny.
Tell anyone about this, I'll fucking kill you.
I think we're good with that.
I'm kidding. We'll come back.
We'll get part 2 up here real soon.
Camera died out on me, but anyway, there it is. Where'd you go, homie? Anyways,
I must say I liked what you had on your list. I wasn't really too sure.
yeah,
I just didn't know, because the thing too is we got a little bit of an age difference between us.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's not huge,
Not a ton, but
it's still there's.
it's just enough to know like where things lie, where you kind of angle like what you liked and what I angle what I like, and that's what's
well,
what's
there's
great
just
about
so many songs to choose from too, and just grabbing a top 5 is so hard.
it. Right.
So I mean, my list definitely is probably not a favorite to win kind of thing, but I just had to grab from a personal standpoint of it.
You have to. You got to do what you got to pick what you
me.
like, and it's like, and again, where those songs were.
Mm-hmm.
You started learning that because you were just excited about it. I was the same way.
Yeah, there's a cover that I love to death from Metallica, so this is an honorable mention for me. But
Okay.
Die, My Darling.
Oh, of course.
That was such a great one. Such a great cover. It's so what?
So fucking what? Or am I evil?
Right. Oh god, yeah. There's just so much.
Save
Metallica.
it for part 2.
Yeah.
Save it for part 2.
So much. But thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thanks again.
Next week we will be coming back. I believe our topic will be over UFOs.
Ooh.
Well, UFOs and a little bit of Bob Lazar. We'll see what we can crack into that. A lot of these subjects are a little, broadcast. It's a broadcast of a net, or a broad stroke, I should say. But, we're just going to keep at it and keep getting better at this. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Catch us back next week, same time, same place, and hope you have a good one.
See ya.
Yeah!